I want to start off today, first of all, my name is Yarrow Silvers. I want to start off today by thanking the board for your responsiveness in proposing maps that reunite Muldoon. I would also like to thank the board for outlining a clear process with set dates, deadlines, and expectations. Now let's talk about the rest of the map. I just want to say that if I was a board member, I would proceed with extreme caution to avoid the appearance or action of replacing what was found to be one unconstitutional gerrymander with another. The court makes one thing very clear. Senate District K was unconstitutional because it split Eagle River into two separate Senate districts for the purpose of increasing majority party representation and at the expense of East Anchorage voters. If Plan 3B is adopted, the board will once again split Eagle River into two separate Senate districts for the purpose of increasing majority party representation at the expense of voters outside Eagle River. The board's refusal to correct the gerrymander and its willingness to jeopardize everything to hold on to this gerrymander would not only be irrational, it blatantly and directly violates the court order. Plan 3B does not correct the gerrymander, it only swaps out the voters who will be muffled. It also continues to tear Eagle River in two, despite consistent testimony from many in Eagle River who put their Eagle River community above their party and have asked that Eagle River remain united. I would be cautious about adopting pairings that were introduced by an individual who not only chaired the Republican Party and uses political data to map, but also sent this board a chart that shows how the political data relates to proposed pairings, who the incumbents are, and even a column that appeared to indicate whether certain incumbents were electable or not. A chart which was referenced by at least two board members during the process, and whose initial suggested Eagle River pairings were found to be unconstitutional. I believe that the most simple fix is the best. Keep Eagle River with Eagle River and Muldoon with Muldoon. Do not undo Senate and House districts the board already adopted unless necessary to keep Muldoon as one and Eagle River as one. Please reject politically motivated pairings that circle all around the map. Pairings that continue splitting apart communities and that continue to give Eagle River more representation at the expense of other communities of interest. And please stop utilizing contiguity of a type that has been described by Supreme Court Justice as second-rate contiguity and what has been described by Bud Simpson as basically a fiction. I will give you the full quotes here for context. Located in February 3, 2022 trial transcript is the following statement by Bud Simpson. And so I could not ever describe 33 as compact. It's barely contiguous. And by barely, I mean the part that connects the northern part of that to the southern part basically has almost no people in it. So it's basically a fiction in my mind. Also, in the Friday 318 video at 11:23 is the following conversation between Supreme Court Justice Matthews and Matthew Singer. Supreme Court Justice Matthews says, I do like your concept of false contiguity when you said, for example, linking Girdwood with downtown Anchorage would be contiguous, maybe, if you went out into the saltwater, but would be false contiguity. Doesn't that imply there would be a natural scheme of things? When you look at a map and when you use links that are unpopulated wilderness, use saltwater, that really is second rate in a way. And Matthew Singer responded with, that really was the board's perspective that it's second rate. So I would think that if this board wanted to continue this trend of splitting apart communities and giving Eagle River more representation than they have the population for, that they would need to have a pretty good justification for why doing this was necessary. But I have read the testimony and listened to the testimony and the board members, and I have not heard any rational justification for doing this, much less good justification. I've heard Bethany Markham state concerns that a section of JBER is in North Eagle River, so they need to be paired so that all of JBER is represented together. I would like to assure Ms. Markham that having looked at a map of this section, this area is a swath of trees with no infrastructure and likely no to few people living in it. Having the consistent representation for a swath of trees is not justification for breaking apart downtown, Eagle River, and South Anchorage using second-rate contiguity. I've heard concerns about service members living in Eagle River and the type of representation they receive. I want to point out that service members live all over Anchorage and that they are represented in accordance with their place of residence, not their workplace. Military service members living in Eagle River are already represented by an Eagle River representative. I want to push back on this idea that the gated and inaccessible community of JBER, that includes service members who both work and live on base, can only be represented by Eagle River, when there is not even an Eagle River gate. There is a Government Hill gate and a Muldoon gate, however, as well as other Anchorage gates, where residents of JBER are closely integrated with the surrounding communities included in North Anchorage District 17. My point being that the connection between JBER service members who already live and receive representation in Eagle River is not adequate justification for splitting downtown, Eagle River, and South Anchorage neighborhoods, as well as splitting residents of JBER from the communities outside of their gates. I've heard about historical connections and how maps have looked in the past. I really just want to remind you that there is a reason that maps are changed every 10 years and that we are not mapping for the past. We are mapping for the people that are living here now. Also, in the past, Eagle River's population was vastly different, requiring Eagle River to be split between two Senate districts, when now it finally has the opportunity to be in a single district. Now let's move to the justifications for splitting South Anchorage apart. I've heard people talk about how South Anchorage and Eagle River both have limited road service areas and independent snow removal, and thus should be paired. I would like to support the many Eagle River residents who have testified for the preservation of their Eagle River community and encourage the board to listen to them as they have pointed out the obvious. North Eagle River also has limited road service areas and independent snow removal. And not only that, but they have the same independent LSRA as South Eagle River, not a completely different LSRA, which is not connected in any way physically, in implementation, or in funding. I've heard that the two areas share a hunting route over Ship Creek. I would like to point out that there are 100 permits issued per year for the Ship Creek moose hunt. So this idea that people mingling over hunting routes creates a justification for this pairing, when these people do not work, shop, eat, or play in the same area, is tenuous at best. And this pairing absolutely opens up the board for further lawsuits from negatively affected South Anchorage residents, as well as Eagle River residents and proponents of Eagle Exit. I've also heard this idea that basic contiguity and the barest of a fix is all that matters, and I'd like to remind the board that this idea of we will do it because we can has been said before, and look where it got us. Finally, I want to discuss a rather cynical thing that is happening in the background that I hope this board can, as professional public servants to the community in this mapping process, rise above. This involves political blogs that are urging people to testify based on politically motivated reasons, such as saving a certain number of Republican Senate seats. This involves people calling from outside of Anchorage and quoting these statements and then hanging up because they don't have the actual knowledge of the Senate pairings they're calling into support and are unable to respond to even the most basic clarifying questions like, why do you support this district? This involves people sending the same form letter each day and completely changing their testimony from what they said just 1 month ago in the municipal process. Testimony that the Assembly listened to, and that in doing so resulted in a built-in 3.6% deviation in municipal maps. In contrast, the Anchorage pairings under consideration do not practicably change deviations. So while this is inherently a political process, our Constitution does not allow for political gerrymandering, which was recently reaffirmed by the courts. I hope that you can rise above the political noise and employ rational, logical justification for your actions while looking at communities and not parties in your final map. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Yarrow. Let me get back to the list here and see. I don't see anybody else that signed up either online or in person. Let's see, Nicole. Oh, you want to ask a question? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you very
Continue
thank
now.
you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks. Can you hear me? Well, you can hear me. You're sitting right across from me, but I'm not hearing the loud echo in the room anymore. We're having trouble with audio. Yarrow, you were reading off of your phone for a lot of that very passionate testimony there. Would you mind emailing it to our generic listserv so I can take a look at it again later and refer to it? You had some very specific pin sites to court opinions that I want to make sure that I reference as I go through. Secondly, my question is really as a board member with a law degree and looking at the Constitution's pretty clear in what the charge is in terms of pairing the most contiguous as practicable Senate districts for Anchorage. And I'm having difficulty with the notion of pairing 22 and 29 for contiguity purposes for a lot of the reasons that you brought up, this false sense of contiguity or second-rate contiguity. How would you travel by road, the existing roads that we have, from 9 to 22?
Depends on where you live in 9.
Okay.
But where I used to live in District 9 on near the Hilltop Ski Area, you would go down to Elmore. You would take Elmore to probably MLK, and then you would go around the Muldoon Curve. Then you would go to the highway, and then you would take that out to Eagle River.
Okay. So by my estimation, looking at the map, that's going through 5 different Senate House districts to get there. Would the most common way or another acceptable way be the new Seward Highway?
Yeah, I mean, if you lived further down.
Okay, and that would require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different districts. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, Melanie?
Not a question for Yarrow, but like I was saying about the background noise, Stephanie, I don't know if you know that the mic is picking up on what you were saying. Oh, Yarrow.
Yeah, I am sorry. My dog is jumping up here, and I was trying to get her down so that she wouldn't knock the computer over. I apologize.
No, it wasn't your dog. It was when she talked about the hunt, I heard you say that those are moose tickets, and then at the end I heard you say, oh, geez. So just so you know, when you're speaking, it's getting picked up by the mic.
Yeah, well, that's why I would like to be able to mute it, because I've been trying to keep my dog down, and so I apologize that we don't have a way of